Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I am not a morning person. I'm not. But when you start your day with a powerful morning routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it will change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of espresso from Lisa Nichols.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going. I wake up every morning.
So number one, in relationships, live parked between fluid and flexible. That's where I park. Every day I pull up and I park between fluid and flexible, because some days I have to expand to give the relationship more, and other days it requires me to contract so that I can hold the energy that I need for me. So relationships are designed to be a dynamic exchange. That's the baseline of a relationship. It's a dynamic exchange. Now, the reality is that some of us are givers and some of us are receivers. And that's just true. It's just, I don't know if it's biological. I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know. You got to consult someone else for that. But I do know that there's some of us we're happy in our giving mode. And it's actually a little awkward to receive. And then there's others, and we like to call them takers, but they're not takers. They're receivers, because a receiver doesn't have to take, because if a receiver gets with the giver, all you got to do is be present and available to receive. So I don't like to call it takers, because then it makes it malicious for them. And that's not the case. Now, there are people who are users. That's very different. I think the dynamic of relationships are there's receivers and there's givers. And what I found was that givers, I'm a giver, we actually feel more comfortable with the receiver. Oh, and then we get upset because they don't give to us. Like, cray cray. We actually seek out, and I say we seek out receivers. We love our givers in our space, but that almost pushes our buttons a bit, because then we have to learn how to receive when we're with another giver.
I honestly think everybody is a giver. Everybody's a giver. Humans are built to serve. You know how great it feels to serve people. It's why I wrote the book, Built to Serve, because serving others, helping others, giving to others hits the same part of your brain as having food and having sex. We are literally hardwired as a species to give, to serve, to help, to be connected. And if you are not happy right now in your life, chances are it's because you're not giving. You're not serving. You feel like nothing that you do matters, that you're not showing up for anybody, that you don't mean anything to other people. You haven't given in the past day, week, month, year, decade, right? You feel insignificant. If you're not happy, it's because you're not serving, you're not giving. I think the challenge becomes we like to give different things. Some people like to give affection, some people like to give gifts, some people like to give experiences, some people like to give money, some people like to give their time. If you look at the love languages, you can get a sense of those things. For example, I think for me, the thing I prize the most is my time. So when I'm giving, it's really an investment of energy. When I spend my Mondays with my team and mentoring the entrepreneurs I've invested into, that's the best gift that I feel I can give them. Maybe they don't feel that's the greatest thing. I hope they do. But more than me putting money into the company, more than me buying them a laptop to use, more than me whatever, is me investing my time. And that's how I like to give. My time, my energy. It's why I do so many videos. It's why I do Instagram lives and take people's questions. It's why I do so many shows and podcasts. It's why when I go speak at an event, I'll end up doing 5-6 hours in the hallway afterwards talking to people. It's why I spend an extra day every time I travel for an event to then do a meetup at the Starbucks the day before or the day at the end to connect, to give, to share, to spend my time, where other people are super happy writing a check to some cause that just feels so, to me, feels so cold, where I don't feel connected to. It's like, okay, whatever, check. But if I'm giving my time to something, then I'm much more involved and I feel like it's more important because I'm putting my time into it. And so I think that becomes super important, is to understand, one, how do you give? Because if you want to be happy, you have to understand, how do you give? What makes you come alive? Do you want to put your time into it? Do you want to do something else? How do you give and how do you show up? Two is then being able to receive from other people and recognize that just because they don't give the same way you do, that it's not a failure, that it's not that they don't care about you. It's not that they don't love you. It's just a different way of expressing it. I appreciate more that people invest their time into things because I value time so much. But for somebody else who loves buying gifts, for example, gifts I don't really care about. I don't celebrate my birthday. I don't care about birthdays. I don't care about milestones. But if you're with somebody, and that could be a significant other, but it could also be your team. It could also be your customers. It could also be the people around you. If they really care about it, then the greatest way to give is to actually show up and celebrate, because that's what they really care about. So one is understand, what do you like to give? What's your love language? How do you love giving? Two, understand the people around you who you want to maintain a relationship with and build and foster tighter and deeper relationships with them. Understand how they want to give. And the more you can actually receive for them, then I think you're going to have a much happier relationship. I don't just put people in the general buckets of you're a giver and you're a receiver. No, we all give and receive, just different ways. And if you want to be a great leader, that's what you have to understand. And then third, just extra perspective and leveling up a little bit, ask for help. I think one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs struggle with is asking for help. You try to do it all on your own. You feel guilty asking for help. And as a result, you don't get the help that you need and you stay stuck. And I struggled with this a lot. I still do, to be honest. I struggle with asking for help. I want to do it myself. I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on other people. I worry about being rejected. I don't want to have to owe somebody. I mean, all of the little voices that pop up in my head that maybe pop up in yours too. But at the same time, if you're talking to people who love to give and love to serve, if you don't ask for help and if you don't receive, you're actually cheating them the opportunity. By me not asking somebody for help, I'm cheating them the opportunity to be able to serve, to be able to feel good, to be able to feel valuable, to be able to feel useful. And so if you can use that little mental trick, I have to do that for myself sometimes, but if you can use that mental trick to understand that, one, you can't do this alone. This thing isn't just going to happen. Your big dream, big mission, big vision, it's not happening on its own. You can't do this all by yourself. You need input, you need feedback, you need support, you need guidance, you need mentorship, you need help. And two, that they like giving too. Everybody likes giving. Everybody likes serving. Nobody wants to give to somebody who's just going to abuse that time, right? If you're going to ask for help, you got to do something about it. Mentors love giving help, but they hate wasting their time. That's the flip side. So they love helping, but they love helping people who actually take action. So be the person who takes action. Be the person who asks for help, ask for one thing, not a million things, not 18 different things, not you ask for help on something and then you come back and ask for help on something else. So like, well, what did you do on the first one, right? Don't disrespect the people who you're asking help from. Understand that you need help. Ask for help, one simple thing, and then go do the work. And then come back and update them and let them know how their advice helped you. And then you can ask for something else. If you ask for more help, you'll start to see better results in your business and your life. Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you just get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That, Believe Nation, is not enough. But when you create a specific plan of action and write it down of what you're gonna do, that number jumps from 35% to 91% chance of you following through. And when you commit publicly to others, like leaving a comment with your plan down below, that number jumps to 95% chance of you following through. So I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below, and next week I will profile one of you. Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, I've designed a special free program to help you get it. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So to help you build a habit of self-belief and self-confidence, I've created a special free training where I will email you a video unlisted to your email every day for the next 254 days to shift your confidence forward. The link to sign up for free is in the description below.
We validate who we are by what we're doing for other people. I say if your knees aren't knocking and your teeth aren't chattering just a little at least, then you're not playing big enough. The Oprah team had heard some of my backstory. And they said, can we send a camera crew, much like this wonderful camera crew?
Yes.
Not nearly as good looking. And can we send a camera crew to capture your story? And so I shared my story. And I mean, I dumped and dumped. And I shared the ugly. And right after the interview, I regretted it. Because I didn't think I could be the secret teacher, the expert, and have that kind of ugly out there in the world. I didn't know. I didn't know that the world would love me for what I've come through. I thought that they would consider me an imposter in the secret. And so I shared all this junk. 2 weeks later, I'm on my way to Oprah to do the actual recording, and I know I know the video. So the night before, I'm packing and I'm crying. I'm like, oh, it's over tomorrow. It's all over.
I'm going to embarrass myself on Oprah.
It's the fastest career up and down anyone's ever seen. Lisa Nichols will be the secret.
Yes.
Right? So I'm just sad. I'm scared, and I call a friend of mine at 4:15 in the morning because I stayed up all night.
Of course, yeah. How are you going to sleep before that?
Yeah, right. And I said, I know they don't know my junk and the video, and it's over. And he said, can I pray for you, Lisa? And I was like, sure. My friend says, God, thank you for using your imperfect child to help your imperfect children. I went to Oprah the next day, and as the chatter kept going in my head, leading up to the moment when they play this video, I'm like, it's okay. I'm enough. I'm enough with all my mess. I'm enough. I'm enough. And the chatter kept, nope, they're going to find out. They're going to find out your son's father is in jail. They're going to find out. And I thought, no, they're not going to find out, because I'm going to tell them. Because there's power in transparency. There's power in authenticity. There's power in truth. That I'm going to speak life into someone else because they're going to see who I am because of that, in spite of that, with that. And so then the after show came. So after the regular Oprah show, the after show. And man, I cracked open on the after show. And within 72 hours, talk about the power of transparency and authenticity. Within 72 hours, I received 8,782 emails. And my email wasn't even Lisa Nichols. It wasn't even easy to find. And my website wasn't Lisa Nichols.
Yeah.
People searching for me.
Whatever it took.
Because of the truth. And so I had the imposter syndrome then. I've had it since then. People told me, oh my God, you're the answer. And I'm searching for my own answers. I love to go back and share some of my favorite memories with you, my fondest. And what I realized, they're actually my most moving memories. One happened over 12 years ago. I was in Toronto, Canada with Margaret. And this gentleman walked up to me, standing about 6'2", Caucasian man in his mid-40s. And he looked at me and he goes, Lisa, I have a problem with you. I said, you do? And my heart started to beat. I'm like, oh my God, someone doesn't like me. What did I say wrong in their eyes? And how is this gonna play out? And he goes, I have a problem. I really have a problem. And I said, okay, how can I help you? He said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. I'm fine not believing in God. I'm comfortable. I prefer not to believe in God. I don't believe that there's a God. And I said, okay, what's your problem? He said, my problem is I love you. I love everything about you. I love the energy you come with. I love the way you speak. I love what I feel when I'm listening to you talk. He said, and you keep referring to this God as your source. And I don't believe in God. So that's my problem. And I said, sir, I'm sorry. I'm not sure where your problem lies. I said, if you don't believe in God, you have that right. If you love me, I'm excited because you can feel that I love you too. And he looked at me and he goes, so let me get this straight. This is not the part where you try to convert me or try to tell me how wrong I am, or you try to explain to me about your God so that I can begin to believe like you believe. This is not that part. You're not going to do that? And I looked up at him. I said, why would I do that? You're committed to whatever you believe in. My job is to honor your belief system. And he goes, see, you're doing that thing again that's making me love you more. That's my problem. But I know you believe in God. I said, that's not a problem. Why don't you keep believing in me and loving me? I'll keep believing in God and loving God, and we'll keep having this great experience. After I said that, he just grabbed me and he hugged me and he held me. And I knew somehow he was holding on to possibility. That's what I choose to tell myself. He was holding on to the love that he could feel from me, the palatable, non-judgmental, non-persecuting love. And in that moment, I couldn't feel more joy. As I held that man, I couldn't feel more joy. I couldn't feel more happiness, that this is what ministry is about. This is what touching souls is about, is to love the person who thinks that you might not love them because their belief system. It was just so beautiful. The moment was so beautiful. I mean, he held me. And then he drew back and looked at me. And he said, you're the real deal. And I looked up at him and I said, so are you. And we said our goodbyes. I never saw him again. Margaret and I went up to the room, our hotel room, that night, and replaying what happened, we both just started to bawl, just cry. And I said to Margaret, this is marketplace ministry disguised as a business. I'm not in the converting business. I don't need to convert anybody. You're exactly where you choose to be. But I am in the loving business. My job is to love you where you are. And that beautiful gentleman, that day, he reminded me and Margaret, I believe, what unconditional love could feel like. If you find that the relationships around you have toxic outcomes, then I want you to look at where's the breakdown. Is the breakdown in communication? Is the breakdown in how you communicate, the words you're using? Is the breakdown in who you choose to be around? Is the breakdown in the engagement of what you're talking about? What I've learned is that if you're not talking about things that are high enough and big enough, things that are inspiring enough, you will slip into the smallness every single time. If you don't choose an intentionally high, evolving, encouraging conversation, you will slip into the cracks. You will slip into those crevices of smallness and petty. And until you get people trained that you're going to live up here without telling them, I need you to know, it's not an announcement. It's a way of being. It's a what do you choose to participate in. It's a stepping over your desire to hear smallness, gossip, negative feedback. It's when someone is engaging in negative feedback about someone else, the fact that you didn't add anything to the conversation doesn't let you off the hook. Did you stop the conversation? Did you say, hold on, I don't want to engage in speaking negatively of them at all. Why don't you have a conversation with them? It's course correcting behaviors in your space at the risk of losing the relationship. But what you basically do is you say, here's where I play. Here is where I live. I'm not visiting this high road of integrity. I'm not visiting this high road of conscious thinking and awareness and respect and humility and honoring the dignity in people. I don't visit this place. I live here. I don't visit this place. I live here. And in a loving way, anyone that's engaging with you has two choices. They either engage with you here or they choose to engage with someone else. Now, if you find that you're going down to be in the relationship, or you're going down and you're the person taking the relationship down because you're in a moment of anger, or you're in a moment of resentment, or you're in a moment of hurt, then you're not living in your highest integrity. You just visit every now and again when you come to this channel. Uh-oh, I see my Shantae coming out right now. Shantae is my middle name. It's what I do when I start getting real edgy, because I really want you to get it. So you need to make a decision on where you choose to reside. And then you don't leave your conscious neighborhood to go visit other people's neighborhood if it's not as high as yours. People will rise to the occasion, or they'll choose not to rise, and they'll pick other people to be with and hang with. And I know that sounds easier said than done, because some of the people who are playing at a lower level might be in family. It might be, and that's fine too. You can love people. It doesn't mean you have to spend tons and tons and tons of time if that time costs you something. Spend as much time as you can. Spend as much time as serves you. Spend as much time as they will allow you to spend. But never leave this place. Even if being with them causes you to allow them to be where they are, you don't have to engage in that. So the bottom line, and supporting you to either recognize, are you the toxic element, or are you surrounding yourself in toxic element, is to make a commitment where you live. Where am I living? And first own where you're currently living, because if you own it, you might go, you know what, I do slip into that small place. Okay, own it. That's conscious awareness. That's powerful. Own it. And then go, where do I want to be? And then what's the distance between here and there? And what do I have to do to get there? What do I have to say no to? What do I have to participate in? What do I have to ask forgiveness for? What do I have to clean up? What relationships require cleaning up? And then what declarations must I make? And what decisions must I live in? Don't make a decision, live in your decision. So often we wear labels. There's a label that's, to me, there's several labels. I'm an African-American woman. I'm a single mom. I'm a CEO. I'm a daughter. There's so many labels to me, but I don't live under the label. I allow the label to exist, but it doesn't define me. And so I invite you, if you are a woman, there's so many men watching my channel. I love you. I want you to always come. You're always welcome. This is your home. But to my sisters, I invite you, don't feel like life is harder for you because you're a woman. Don't feel like you have to work harder because you're a woman. Work hard. Just work hard. I never looked at, am I working harder as a woman? Am I working harder as a Black person? Now, are there inequities? Absolutely. I am not blind to that. But like I said in the previous episode, energy grows where energy goes. Am I going to give the inequities energy, or am I going to give the possibility energy? And I'm not saying that everything's hunky-dory and all things are right. No, there's some wrongs that really need to be corrected. But here's what I won't do. I won't wear a label and walk in a room living under that label, wondering how you're going to treat me because of that label. People used to ask, Lisa, how did you get on the main stage with people like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield and people like, they rattle off all these older white men, or very successful white speakers in the industry. And they say, how'd you get on stage with them as a Black woman? Or how'd you get on stage with them as a woman? And I go, I didn't get on stage with them as a woman. I got on stage with them as a badass speaker. I got on stage with them as someone who can bring value to the audience. I got on stage with them because I'm a change agent. So can you live through the results that you produce in the world? Can you allow that to define you? Like, this is the bag that you were given. A woman, a man, Black, white, Indian, Asian, the religion you were born into, the economic status you grew up under. All of those things are boxes that someone else said, let's drop you in it. And then you had to choose if you're gonna stay in it. I am too big to be defined by a box, any label of any size. Why don't you join that? So don't be successful as a woman, be successful. Don't be successful as a man, be successful. Don't be loving and giving as a Black person or white person or Asian person. Be loving and giving. Just be. And then become contagious for someone else to want to be that way because they crossed your path. I love the phrase willpower. But willpower isn't something you conjure up. Willpower isn't something you drink. Willpower isn't something you download from Google. What you're talking about is, how do I make the choices that are in alignment with my highest purpose and my highest vision for myself? That's what you really want to ask. See, your life is a physical manifestation of the choices that you made up until this moment. I'm going to say that again because that gets a little deep. And that can go over some people's head. That can hit you sometimes right between the eyes. And you got to hear it a second time. So here it goes. Your life right now, as it exists today, your finances, your weight, your relationships, your career, your self-esteem, your self-image, your spiritual awareness, all of that is a result of the choices that you've made up until this moment, big and small. And just so you know, your life, the way it appears today, is not a result of a few big choices. Even though that's the thing that we look back on, we go, I shouldn't have moved out of the state. I shouldn't have got into that relationship. I shouldn't have. We look at the big things. Well, I'm here to disrupt that mindset a bit. Your life experience right now is not so much a result of your big choices, while those impact you. It's really a result of a bunch of small little choices made consistently over a long period of time. Because those are the habits and the behaviors that you've gotten into. So we can talk about willpower and how do I build willpower as if it's something that you can flex in the gym or something you can do crunches or abs or triceps and build, but it's not. The question you should ask, the answer you should be seeking is, what does it take to make my choices become in alignment with the life that I say I want to live? Now, when you say choices, it makes it really sobering, because even when you choose to sit down on yourself, it was a choice. So I ask you in this moment, what will it take you to decide to make the choice today? Don't even think about tomorrow. Don't think about next week, but to make the choice today that's in alignment with your health goals. Make a choice today that's in alignment with your financial goals. It's the small things. It's the extra visit to Starbucks. It's the extra biscuit. It's the getting up early. It's 10 more crunches. It's doing squats every time you go to the bathroom. At least that's what I do. I do 10. I do 10 every time I go to the restroom. I'm already there. I'm just going to keep on going just because I want to stay in alignment with my goal. And my goal is to have a body that at least creates a double take or a triple take, maybe. I don't know. I wanted to create a body that is in alignment with my goal. I want to be able to go paintballing with my nephews and my son the way I just did recently. I want to be able to go jet skiing. So when I look at my life and my lifestyle that I want to maintain, it requires me to hike a little longer. It requires me to eat more vegetables and protein. It requires me, my choice of how I want to live requires my alignment in what I put in my body or how I stay active in my body. So when I date, I don't do dinner dates. I'm not interested in doing dinner dates. You want to date me? Let's go on a hike. Let's go skating, ice skating, roller skating. Let's go on a walk. I want active dates in my dating experience because that's in alignment with my life's purpose. So, what are you choosing? Let's not even look at willpower. Let's look at choices. Because choice is something you can control in every single moment. And the choice you made yesterday, if it wasn't in alignment with your greatest goal and your highest purpose, okay, yesterday is yesterday. Make a new choice today. You're not ever condemned or sentenced to making the same choice over and over and over again. Every day, every moment, you have a new opportunity to make a new choice. To set healthy boundaries, you can't just make an announcement. I've been looking at the Lisa Nichols show, and I know you won't say it like that, but things have got to change. No, don't announce it like that. Don't announce it with that, what I call that stank energy on it. Don't announce it with that negative, I'm done, you've been using me. No. Again, they simply have signed up for the game that you created, the relationship that you created, which was, I'm going to give, you can receive. You don't ever have to worry about crossing a boundary with me. So the first thing you need to do is to set the record straight by apologizing to the people that you've allowed to cross your boundaries. You have to say, I apologize. Just say it just like this. Just quote me. Just like this. You don't have to say, you quote me. It's your own words. You can modify it as need be. But you know what? I owe you an apology. I owe you an apology because I've made you think that I have no boundaries. I've led you to believe that I don't need rest. What I've done is I've overused my yes. And so I'm not used to saying no, and you're not used to hearing no from me. I've even said yes to you when I needed to say no. And what I know about you is that you would want me happy. So I apologize. I set something in motion that doesn't even work for me. I love you. I know you love me, and I love the relationship, but I need to make some tweaks. I did this. Don't do it in any passive aggressive way that indirectly blames them. No, own your stuff. You are a leader. Own your mess. Own your choices. Own the results. I had to do it. Hold on. I set everyone up to believe that I can handle everything. I kind of like being the hero of the story. It was my ego or my self-esteem that needed to be fed for the last 10 years. And now I've grown up enough to realize I don't need that. And so in this new season, I need to set healthier boundaries. It's not about you. You never saw my line, so you didn't know that you were crossing it. You never saw the boundaries, so you didn't know where they existed. That's on me. Ooh, now that's grown folk talk. That's grown folk talk. That's adult. That's emotional literacy at its best. So I know it might make your knees knock. It might make your teeth chatter, but pull up your big boy pants, pull up your big girl pants and make it happen. Because on the other side of that is the experience that you deserve and the one that you're looking for. But it first requires you to do the work. In a previous episode, I talked about your Popeye muscle. That's the thing you've been doing for a long time already. That's the letting everyone cross your boundaries. That's the saying yes to everyone. And then there's that olive oil muscle. You know, the muscle that hangs down here because it's underdeveloped. That's that setting healthy boundaries muscle. That's that apologizing for how you've shown up and allowed other people to not even see your boundary. That's owning it. Oh, yeah, I know. It can be intense, but it's so incredibly beneficial. So let's do it. Let's reclaim your boundaries. Let's reclaim your joy. Let's reclaim your life. Let's reclaim your future. Let's reclaim and design it in a way that serves everybody. Because when you do this, you will model for those who are witnessing you. You will model. People won't choose to be out of relationship with you because you apologize for never setting boundaries. It'll be a little disruptive. It'll be a little uncomfortable. It'll be a little new. And then they'll settle in it. And then we know something new. And then you've inspired others to do the same. Let me first explain to you what forgiveness isn't. Because most people won't forgive because they have an incorrect understanding of what forgiveness is. So forgiveness is not pardoning someone's behavior. It's not excusing someone's behavior. Forgiveness isn't admitting that you were wrong. Forgiveness isn't saying what was done to me is okay. Forgiveness isn't any of those things. Forgiveness actually, if you really understand it, it has less to do with the other person and more to do with you and more to do with your future. Let's go back to the oil and water scenario. So forgiveness invites in love, invites in possibility, invites in prosperity. It invites in new thinking. It invites in creativity. So forgiveness is an expanding emotion. When you forgive, you're opened up for new things. Anger is a contracting emotion. It requires you to shut down, to avoid, to shut out, to stop talking. Everything in anger is about stopping and shutting down. Everything about forgiveness is about opening up without pardoning someone's behavior. I want to make sure I'm clear on that, because most people attach forgiveness to, but you don't know what he did, but you don't know what she did. When you can detach, forgiveness is not about what they did. Forgiveness, get this, forgiveness is about making yourself available. Think about your body is primary real estate. There's only so much of it. It's a finite space. There's only so much space. It's not forever. This is your body. So if this is your primary real estate, your heart, and you have anger occupying 20% of it, you can never experience 100% love. You can never experience 100% possibility. You haven't given yourself a chance at 100% of the things you want most, because your primary real estate, your heart, your body, your mind is being occupied with a very intrusive, toxic emotion. Less and less about them. Nothing to do with them being right or their behavior being pardoned or the action. It's your future is paying for your past when you hold on to anger. So when you get really connected to the cost of anger, then it's not about the what. As a matter of fact, the longer you've been angry, the longer you've robbed yourself of 100% of what you were worthy of. And if someone's betrayed you, if someone's hurt you, then you over everyone deserve 100% love, 100% possibility, 100%. But it requires forgiveness. And in many cases, it's forgiveness of yourself. In many cases, the person you've been angry at the longest is yourself. And the same rule applies when it comes to you. Oh my God, I love this question. I don't think I've ever been asked this question before. I never had an opportunity to explain it. Being the best version of you. First of all, don't think of it holistic. I want you to break it down to different parts of your life. Because when you are committed to being the best version of you, which in summary, it's the you that you're so incredibly proud of holistically. It's a 360 approach. It says, I'm not perfect. So best does not mean the perfect version of you. Because I think perfection and balance are two illusions that are designed to help you keep chasing something that's not even attainable. So perfect is not attainable and balance is not attainable. So it's perfectly managing my imperfection and releasing balance and having harmony, number one. But the best version of you is really saying that in each area of my life, I'm in movement. In each area of my life, I'm in evolution. In each area of my life, I'm active. I am actively participating in an upwardly mobile way in this area of my life, times every area of my life. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're always where you want to be, but it does mean that you're being responsible, you're being active, and you're being proactive. Finances, that you're looking at your numbers. Just this morning, I ran my credit score again. I want to see what's on it. I want to be actively participating in my financial growth. I looked at my savings. I looked at my life insurance. I just looked at my long-term plan. Not necessarily because I want to buy another house or I want to buy a car. I just want to be on top of it. I want to be responsible for it. And then health and wellness. Just yesterday, I was talking to Matt and going, Matt, it's time for us to do another health and wellness campaign. I don't necessarily want to do it. And it slightly to moderately scares me a bit when I'm bringing my fitness into a public conversation. But I know the responsible me, the best version of Lisa, is saying, hold me accountable. Hold me accountable to my fitness goals. Hold me accountable to my total wellness goals. And then last week, I was just sitting with someone saying, you know what? I need to go down the list of all the checkups that I've had. I need to make sure I'm not missing anything. Relationships. I just said to a girlfriend yesterday, hold me accountable. Hold me accountable to not running. I realize that I run well and I run smoothly. I run like a gazelle sometimes when it comes to relationships. It doesn't even look like I'm running because I'm so busy. So I asked someone who knows me, who knows the love that I want, who knows my sexy excuses. I need you to hold me accountable. When I say this, I want you to question it. And so while there's so much growth in every area of my life, I'm being the best version that I know to be because I'm active in every single area. I'm not saying I'm being the best or I am the best. Please don't get me wrong with that. I'm just saying to be the best version of myself. So when you look at being the best version of yourself, look at each part of your life and go, what am I actively doing? Where you feel like I'm in the game in this area. I'm not resigned and I'm not praying for it to go right. Or I'm not in resignation and in complaint about it. I'm not a victim to that relationship. I'm not a victim to my finances. I'm not a victim to the relationships in my family. I'm an active part of creating what's occurring. And it can always get better, but I'm an active part. That's being the best version of you. And waking up each morning and saying, I like me today. I got many things I can work on, but I like me today. Before you ever go out on Facebook or any other social media platform to check to see if anyone else like you, your job is to like you first. And every other like is bonus. That's stepping into the best version of you. Setting long-term goals that make your knees knock a little bit and make your teeth chatter a little bit. Those goals that you don't know exactly how you're going to get it done, but it's something that you want to get done. It stretches you, but it doesn't stress you. Your goals are supposed to stretch you, not stress you. Those things, that combination. And when you live in that capacity and you focus and you operate in that one, that's when you're living and being the best version of you. Acknowledge your community. See, when you celebrate the people around you that bring you joy or that teach you some of the hardest lessons that you need to learn, the iron that sharpens the iron, the celebrators that celebrate you, those who hold the space for you and with you, pray for you, honor you. When you celebrate and lift them up, the whole tide rises. So I want you to find 6 people in your community, not out of obligation, but truly out of choice. They can be in your circle, in your family, in your business circle. And I want you to acknowledge them for the contribution that they bring to your life. What I love about acknowledgement is that when you acknowledge other people, it actually makes you happier. It's just this amazing gift of giving. And what I love is that most people would rather get an acknowledgement from you than a physical gift. That means they don't necessarily need the perfume, they don't need the sweater, they don't need the new iPhone, whatever. They want you to look at them in their eyes and say, you bring value to my life. I honor you, I celebrate you, I appreciate you. Take time to have a personal moment with them where you're just seeing them. The number one reason why people feel sad and disconnected is because they say they don't feel seen. So in this acknowledgement, I want you to look into their eyes and acknowledge them for who they are and how they make your life better. When you raise the community around you, the entire tide rises, the energy rises, the joy rises, the expectation rises. And guess what? If you make this a part of your weekly habits with them, I didn't say daily, I didn't say monthly either, and I definitely didn't say annually. But if you make this a part of your weekly, find one thing to acknowledge at least 6 people in your community for each week. One, you'll feel much more excited. But all of a sudden there's a vibration that happens because you've created it. There's this energy of let's go do this, because what gets celebrated gets repeated. You want someone to repeatedly do something wonderful and amazing in your life, you repeatedly acknowledge them from a genuine place. Man, it's so powerful when you truly marry yourself to the acknowledgement process, to the practice of acknowledgement. When you get into the practice of acknowledgement, all of a sudden people will mirror back to you. You don't acknowledge to get it back. You acknowledge because you want people to be seen. But there's just this dance that begins to occur that's absolutely delicious. Joan Baez says, and my coach Susie Carter first shared this with me, that Joan Baez says the antidote for despair is action. So I said, how can I be in action? I was always looking to be in action. What else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And then I go learn. What else can I do? So to me, there's a very short line between learning and doing.
Yes.
And if you haven't done anything what you learn, why are you getting more education? You haven't even applied what you, like I'm a hell of a coach now.
It's like people who read a book and they don't go apply it. They just want to read the next book.
Right. Hi. The book I read when I was in my deepest, darkest hour, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, changed my life because I got into radical action behind it. I was like, oh, Stephen Covey talks about attending your own funeral, doing a visionary session where you attend your own funeral. And there are 4 people to speak. What will those 4 people say about you? What kind of brother were you? What kind of friend were you? What kind of social change agent were you? What kind of neighbor were you? Man, when I did that exercise, I was like, oh, I'm a nice person, but I'm not getting they're not saying the things about me that I want to be said.
Right, yes.
I'm writing my eulogy right now, Amar. I'm writing my eulogy. I'm writing my legacy. I'm not just living for now. I'm living for the 40 years from now story being told about me. I'm living for my grandchildren's grandchildren's story about who great-great-great-grandma was. And when you live for a lifetime, not just your life cycle, but a lifetime, you live for the legacy. I'm writing my legacy now. You won't sweat the small stuff anymore. You won't get caught up in gossip. You won't get caught up in living inside worry. You might worry, but worry does not have permission to take up real estate in your body. Worry is chased by solution and strategy.
Yes, by action, yeah.
And I always tell people, listen, I'll have every emotion like everyone else. I'll have fear, I have doubt, I have judgment, but you cannot take up real estate in my body. There's no lease options to buy in my mind. Don't lease option buy in my mind, and don't take up real estate. I got things to do. I got changes to make, and I'm not a superhero. I'm not. I'm an ordinary woman. I'm an ordinary woman who chooses every day to make one more extraordinary decision. You know, over my career, and I've been in business over 20 years now. People from all around the world, students at every level, whether they are newly into launching their business or they've been in business themselves for 10, 15 years, ask the question, how do I overcome fear? I'm about to disrupt you completely because I am not going to give you a strategy to overcome fear. Because if I even attempt to give you a strategy, and I know we're always looking at stuff, reading things, how to overcome fears. There are probably 10 steps to overcoming fear somewhere out there. They weren't written by me, and I could never write it. Because I don't think you wait to overcome fear to live the life of your dreams or the one that you deserve or to blow your own mind. I personally, and I'm teaching you from my life lessons, from what I've studied, what I've applied, what I've implemented, what I've fallen from, what I've soared from, what I've gotten up from. And I don't think you focus on learning how to overcome fear, though there are things that helps to mitigate your fear. Information mitigates fear. Training and developing your skill set mitigates fear. I teach speaking. I love teaching people how to speak powerfully. Not to speak to be great, but to speak to be unforgettable. Whether you're a speaker or whether you're a manager, whether you're in retails or in network marketing, whatever it is, when you open your mouth, you want to be unforgettable. And people always say, Lisa, how do I overcome the fear of speaking? I say, let's not focus on the fear of speaking because energy grows where energy goes. So let's not focus on overcoming fear. Let's focus on building a muscle that naturally dissolves fear. And that muscle is the muscle of information, the muscle of education, and the muscle of skill set. So if you know more and then you develop the skill set, you won't be as afraid to do that thing that you're talking about. But the other side to that, now I'm going to disrupt you a bit. So the first part, not so disruptive. That means go get it more information, give fear what fear needs to reduce itself, meaning information skill set. But this other part that I'm going to tell you, this might be disruptive. How about you not try to mitigate, resolve, or get past, or overcome, whatever you want to call it? How about you not try to do that with fear? How about you allow the fear to sit with you? You just commit to keep moving, even with the fear. So many times in my life and in my career, I was afraid. The difference between me and most is that I still move forward with the fear. Fear does not have a past to stop you. Fear does not have a past to stop you. First of all, let me just tell you this. Just like compassion, just like love, just like respect, just like any other feeling you feel for someone, fear is just a feeling. We just give fear more power. We say, when compassion comes, I hug, I love. When understanding comes, when joy comes, when humor comes, I laugh. But when fear comes, I get to stop. What if you change the meaning to that? Ooh, just stick with me right here. What if you change your dance with fear? What if you tell fear, you're welcome in my life because you're gonna come. Can't keep you away. But when you come, I'm not going to stop. Every single thing you touch is impacted by your story. As an attorney, as a teacher, as an architect, there's not one line of business that you can be in that a story, and a great story, won't elevate your outcome. Every single line of business, every single line of service that you're connected to will be impacted and ideally elevated by the level in which you're willing to tell and share your story. So let me give you some guidelines, some parameters, what I like to call the bumper rails, as if you're going bowling. You know, when I go bowling, I ask them to put the little bumper rails down so I can my ball can get down the lane. So let me set up some bumper rails for you so that you understand what makes a great story. So one is the willingness to take risk. Most people, Vishen, when they're telling a story, they don't want to take a risk. So the story has its limits on how high it'll go or how deep it'll go. And when you have that, then you're really not at that part that's going to touch my soul. So being willing to take a risk, being clear and concise with your stories. A great story is a show me story, not a tell me story. Now, this is the distinction that's the game changer for most. Most people are telling a story. They say, so let me just share with you a little bit of my story, and I'll tell you and then I'll show you. So as I was building my life, there was a time in my life that was very difficult. It was very challenging. True story. Very difficult, very challenging, very uncomfortable. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of hope, and things just looked dismal. At some point, I had to turn my life around. At some point, I made the decision that life had to get better. I'm telling you that. It's decent. You learn about me. Then if I were to show you that story, I would say 6 days a week, I had to eat beanies and weenies. I had to find money in the crevices and the corners of my couch so that I can get my son milk. There were times when my heart would beat fast just at what am I going to have tomorrow? At some point, I got sick and tired of my own story. Is this going to be my future? No, I can't handle it. Notice the difference in that second story. Wow.
I completely see that.
I just painted a picture. Same story. Mm-hmm. Now, the second one, when you show a story, it's going to require more of you. It's going to require you to find the colors. What were you thinking? What were you experiencing? What was going on in your head? Instead of telling me you look for money, turn and point. Now, this is anywhere you are doing anything. I promise you, you become a great storyteller and you will captivate your audience no matter what you're doing. I've captivated investors. I've captivated students. I've captivated educators because I was willing to show the story. I call it unpacking the story, Vishen. Being willing to tell me, what were you thinking? What were you feeling? What were you seeing? Think about a story as an oral movie. And so in an oral movie, think when you're looking at a movie, the first thing they do is they identify what state of time it is. Is it futuristic? Is it in the now? Was it back in the day? You notice that based on what people are wearing, how they're talking. So paint that picture for me. Take me to that environment. Set the backdrop up for me. Show me what you're going through. Instead of saying I was angry, you can tell me you were angry, but when you say the hair on the back of my neck was standing up, I felt the fumes exiting my nose. I thought that my chest was going to pop and I was going to say something that I'd regret forever. Ooh, you just showed me you were angry. Take that extra time to unpack it. Why will most people not do that? Because it requires a level of vulnerability that we're not willing to share. When you look at prioritizing, it really lives in, and I'm going to say this word, and you're probably not going to want to hear it, but when I tell you it's a game changer, when you master, and just for now, begin to operate inside of time management. I used to resist time management because I'm a free spirit / people would call me a rebel back in the day, meaning I didn't want to be controlled. I'm a butterfly. I wanted to soar. I wanted to be free. Well, the reality is that when you manage your time more effectively, you actually create more freedom. That was a huge aha for me. Somebody's going to BOL right now, like breakthrough out loud. Because when you time manage, meaning I'm going to use better blocks of my time. Let me give you some examples for that. I'm going to use better blocks of my time, meaning I'm only going to go in my email 3 times a day. I go on my email about 9:30, between 9:20 and 9:40, I go on my email. I stay in my email for 30 minutes. I'll go back in my email about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I stay in my email again for about 30 minutes. I go back on my email one more time at 6 p.m. I stay in for about 30 minutes. That's it. I don't go in 19 times. I don't go in 20 times because 3 times a day gives me adequate time to see what's in there, see what's new, and act appropriately. Otherwise, it's throwing me off. I time block my day, about 90 minutes each time block to do a task. Even if a task only takes me 30 minutes, I time block 90 minutes because I get distracted. But when you time block your day and then you schedule each day, not every day looks the same. I have a time block for everything I need to do for 7 days out the week. Can you believe that in that time, I got more things done? You have to become comfortable with your no. My grandmother says, baby, she starts every sentence with baby. Baby, if you want your yes to have more value, you need to learn how to exercise your no. See, your yes might not have its value anymore. Why? Because you give it away too much. You give it to too many people. You give it away too often. You're always overcommitting, and then you feel drained and frustrated, and you don't have gratitude in your heart because you're overcommitted. Well, that all started with a yes that should have been a no, or should have been a I'd love to, but not now. And so number 1 is more effective time management that has your agenda in it, that has your priorities in it. Right now, your agenda is covered with everyone else's task. I heard once, if you don't have your agenda, then you're gonna work for somebody else's agenda. And so number 1 is your time management with your agenda. And number 2 is operating, utilizing, and being comfortable in a no. And not an attitude no, not like a stank no, like no. Not that, just a no, not now. No, I would love to, but my plate is full. I'm free in 90 days. Just don't make, no energy, just not now. Don't be surprised when everyone comes to you. You're great, you're amazing, you're brilliant. Look at you, you're on this channel, so you know you're smart. You want a better life, you want an abundant life. Of course you're here. Of course everyone wants you. And your priorities matter.
If you want another amazing Lisa Nichols video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I think perfection and balance are 2 illusions that are designed to help you keep chasing something that's not even attainable.
Everybody's got an opinion, an agenda for what you should do with your time.